This is interesting. Cowgirl Archer just threw this one up. What kind of drugs or substances are not commonly tested for that you think could cause a death like Tammy's and or Alex's?
Well, I mean, I know the whole issue of malachite has come up, and we did discuss that about a year ago, which of course nobody, myself included, frankly, remembers about malachite. But the key with malachite poisoning is twofold. Number one is we're not talking about the rings that come from Amazon or whatever that are polished, and once malachite is polished, it doesn't have the toxic properties that a more raw form of malachite would have. Um, and malachite becomes quite potent when it's mixed with water or oil. Okay. And we did note from the interview documents that, let me see if I can keep all these people correctly. Is it Ian Pulowski that married Melanie, right? Is it a chat? Tell me if I'm wrong. He did go to the police out of great concern for a couple of days after he married Melanie, that she was coming out with a lot of stuff on zombies and blessings and malachite. And in that document, it's about a 5 or 6 page document from the East Idaho News. Actually, they have that document. I've reviewed that. Is some specific information on the importance of malachite in quote blessings, but that part of the blessings, it was a strange comment. I'd have to read back on it, but the ways that they use it are to make a balm, BALM, that they would put on people's skin. And if once you mix malachite with an oil or a water, aqueous matter, you activate it. And so there are known toxicities and deaths that have happened when people are rubbed with malachite. Okay. And apparently, as part of this cult, they used malachite balm in their blessings. Okay. And then the other is in teas that people, and I hate to even mention this because somebody last week made a very good point that should we even be discussing these?
Yeah.
Because as he drinks his Dr. Pepper.
But I actually popped the top on it. So even a date rape drug won't affect me here.
Right, Daniel. Hopefully the rat poison on top.
Yeah.
In the warehouse you wash. Okay, but seriously, the tea that if you, and so this is why I'm a little bit nervous, not nervous, but hesitant to give all too much specific, right? Because we don't need people to get unstable, unhinged people to get odd ideas. But it is a sweet flavor when malachite is mixed with water, and it could be given as a tea. And those deaths do come rather quickly. Okay, and so we don't know. Did Tammy get a tea? Did she get any balm? Did she get a blessing? We don't know. I'd have to kind of go back and see what sort of informal testimony.
I think back. I mean, the example that you and I talked about, and I actually looked at the case pretty closely, of the little girl who actually got malachite poisoning from the fish food.
It's not fish food. I'm sorry.
It's the fish tank
purifier. It's an anti-parasitic, and it's actually malachite green, which is a slightly different type of malachite than in the gem. But the bottom line is, I mean, she literally, it was within like 2 minutes in cyanotic. Yeah.
It was almost immediate. And had they not done something immediately, she would have died.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is powerful. This is really powerful stuff. So the question, I guess, comes to me, and then I want to go back and talk about Tylee and Joshua for a moment, is can you recover chemical residue in tissue of a malachite poisoning? Because what we do in the embalming process is we remove all the blood, we fill the body with preservatives. I mean, gosh, that's a tough challenge for someone.
The only thing, and that's why it's a darn shame that she didn't get an autopsy, because sometimes months later we'll call the lab or the corner and say, "Do you have any left over? We just thought we'd like to run something else on this," and that's a darn shame. But going back to Ms. Archer when she asked the question, this is Cowgirl Archer, um, about what are the unusual. I mean, you have sort of top 9 to 12 substances that people are typically tested for, right? You get your alcohol, your Tylenol, your cocaine, your marijuana. I mean, we can go down the list like that. Nobody's going to really be checking for malachite. Now, the malachite, the kind that are in the gem, the key is that the two key things with that in terms of poisoning is that there's an issue of a chemical reaction with copper, okay, in the malachite that actually competes with oxygen. Go back to chemistry, competes with oxygen in the bloods on the red blood cells, so that even though the red blood cells are carrying oxygen, they've sort of been tossed off by the copper, as best as I can explain it.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's why you get cyanotic so quickly. And that's why it, they can say, oh gosh, they look like they're oxygenating. I mean, if you look at the blood, it's red or whatever. But the only really way for malachite, as I recall, is to do a blood gas to find out, is the oxygen saturation really what it is and what it should be? Because there's a competition with the copper and the oxygen. So people aren't getting the oxygenation in their blood and they quickly die from malachite poisoning. Although you can have a slow death.